Hello, this is Kinninigan from RagingReptilian.com. If you're here in the chat, welcome tonight. I figured what better thing to do on a cold, dreary, it's raining outside right now in Philadelphia. It's been raining all day. And also for October, then to recover the alien shootout at Dulce base between, well, not just Phil Schneider, U.S. military forces. This is a video I'm remaking for my other channel. I did this on there before. I've covered Phil Schneider before. In fact, we're going to take a look at one of those clips. I also have a video clip of Phil Schneider actually talking during one of his 1995 lectures. So rather than have to read a lot about his account of what he actually did out here at Dulce, we could actually just hear from his own mouth. Now, just to give you a little rundown, what is Dulce? Dulce is a top secret underground military installation. Although we say it's a military installation, it is habited by aliens of all things. It's completely underground. There is nothing to see above ground. It's completely subterranean. It's here between the border of northern New Mexico and right near Colorado. I'm zooming in here off of Interstate 64, if anyone can see that there. The reason I'm zooming in on the map, what I find really interesting about this is even though it's out in the middle of the desert, there's a lot of rivers and lakes and freshwater tributaries around there, meaning there's probably a lot of freshwater underground also, which would make it an ideal base. It's theorized that this could be an ancient base that's being utilized, or an ancient cavern system. Although Phil Schneider says he was employed, and you'll hear him say, we did create domes in addition to a lot of these natural cavities. And what's interesting is going all throughout Colorado, we have the Denver airport put there recently. And it's theorized that we have some other top secret underground facilities going all throughout Colorado. And remember that some of our nuclear arsenal missile silos are there. In fact, if you are like me and you go on a, well, I didn't take a day flight, but if you were to fly from like Philadelphia to Las Vegas, you can actually see these missile silos over Colorado. I flew at night, so I didn't see them. And of course, it's not, you know. Now, Jesse Ventura, if anyone remembers his conspiracy show, went to Dulce looking for the reptilians and didn't find anything. And the only reason I'm saying that is Dulce has always been synonymous with alien grays, and supposedly we have a few leaked pictures from there. What's even more interesting, you want to hear about mockery right in plain sight. We're going to read this. This is a news article. Yes, ET's living in New Mexico. And it was put out in a local newspaper when people still used to read newspapers. Phil Schneider was around the time of 1995. That's when I graduated from high school and actually went into the military at that age. So yeah, people read newspapers back then. The internet was just starting to take off and all that, and pretty interesting. And I'm glad that we got a lot of all Phil Schneider's old lectures onto the internet. So I got a few links here pulled up if you want to do any additional reading. Like I said, I'm going to play a clip of Phil Schneider talking. And this is a good website here with a lot of the, we'll go over this after I play the Phil Schneider clip and look at some of these pictures here. Are they real? Are they not? I'm not sure. And of course, I am going to replay a clip probably towards the end of this stream with Phil Schneider talking about what the alien agenda is, and he was one of the first people to mention the harvesting of all things, adrenochrome, and I have him saying that on video. So, to get yourself familiarized with Phil Schneider, I'm going to play this 6-minute and 35-minute clip. Like I said, rather than just hear him talking about it, it's going to cut a lot of, you know, what's already archived on these other websites I showed you from his accounts. And then we're going to take a look at a few of the pictures. Now, you need to remember, supposedly in 1979, and what this article was covering is he claims to have gotten in a shootout with 2 alien greys and was hit with a plasma type weapon that actually, I think he shows that, he'll show you his injury in this video. But supposedly 60 I think it was civilian personnel and military, because he was a civilian personnel. He was geologist and engineer on the working with some of the drilling for the deep underground military installations and setting up of the DUMs, and they happened to come into this cavern in Dulce, New Mexico, and they encountered hostile alien greys. Can't make this stuff up. And this is probably, when it comes to the alien greys, you hear me talking about archons a lot. I believe this one is talking more about the Zeta Reticulan alien greys, the more evil, hostile ones. And then we'll also take a clip later on with him admitting, yes, that one of the things that they do need humans for is the harvesting of all things of adrenochrome. So let's watch this clip here. I'm going to put this up to full screen. I want to make sure the volume's not too loud. I'll be able to EQ this outright in my video editor. I'll be premiering this, so I'm actually live streaming. I premiere these videos, but the chat is still open. So like I said, if you're here, welcome. Let's take a look at this Phil Schneider clip here.
Another thing I want to reach to you is that during the unbelievable part, I was involved in building another base inside of Dulce, New Mexico, which is Los Alamos Laboratory. It's a biological laboratory. On the southwest part of the Archuleta Mesa, we built an underground facility, a better part of 3 cubic miles hollowed out underground. Then to the southwest of that, we were in the process of the early stages of building. We drilled 4 large tunnel-like holes. Some of them ran 2.5 miles under the surface. Number of the original wells or drilling machines that were used were at the rate of up 2 miles a day. It was fairly rapid. The equipment kept coming up broken. So we wanted to go down, we wanted to send somebody down there, a human observer, or human observers in this case, to find out what was going on. Well, to our total surprise, first of all, the government knew all about it. They didn't tell anybody. When I saw Green Beret and Black Beret people encamped inside of our geologist camp, I knew something was up. The gig was up. First of all, I knew all about the alien agenda. I'll explain that in a few minutes. The large alien greys had been encamped there for as best as believed possible about 400 or 500 years. It had been one of their internal bases. And we drilled holes right on top of it. All the stinking air, all the black sooty air came right out as soon as the first hole was sunk, and all this soot came up, and well, that's when all the hell broke loose, really, all started. Anyway, after we drilled all 4 holes, it took about 2 days to drill all 4 of them. And when you build an underground base, you drill 4 basic holes, and then you build called stopes or cross-member holes across, and then you use blasting equipment, special blasting equipment by the analyzation of the rock formation, and you literally blast out or tunnel out or deflagrate or melt rock out to build the large rooms that are required for this underground base. Well, in this process, I was lowered down the basket of one of these holes, and about from me to this elderly woman here in the front was sitting a 7-foot-tall alien gray. The stench was worse than the worst garbage can you can imagine. The person the entity was absolutely horrible. I didn't waste any time. I reached for my pistol. At that time, as an engineer, I didn't have time to carry all the folderol of one of these big submachine guns that all the sea spray and the yellow fruit and all the outer perimeter and inner perimeter security people carried. I carried a little Walther PPK pistol with a 9-shot clip. This was in late August of 1979. Now, you got a regular suit of clothes, you got a regular clothes on, plus you're in a almost like a spacesuit environment, and you're reaching for a gun, it's not the easiest thing to do, and then to pop a clip in it and start shooting. And I killed 2 of them. Yes, they're mortal, and they do die. However, in the process, one of them did this. All I remember is that he just kind of waved his hand in front of his chest, and the next thing I know, this blue beam hit me and just literally opened me up like a fish, and burnt my fingers right off of me. And it was some form of electrical force, because the kind of like being hit by a lightning bolt burned all my toenails off of me, completely crispy crittered my left foot, burnt the shoe right off of me. All I remember is the smoking remains, and I'm still conscious, but in and out of, I didn't remember much. And there was a Green Beret that was right behind me that risked his life. In fact, he died. But he risked his life. He shoved me back in the basket and hit the button and took me up. And I wouldn't be alive talking to you today if it wasn't for him. I'm forever indebted. He lost his life. 66 Secret Service agents, Green Berets, Black Berets, crack troops lost their lives because the government, our United States government, lied, did not tell us anything about the alien threat. There's a war underneath there, and I'm talking dead serious. It's been going on since that time. Since late August of 1979, our military, the Russian military, basically the militaries of the world, have been in constant conflict with the outer space alien. The small gray, the large gray, the reptilians, the whole thing. There are 11 distinct races of aliens. 2 are benevolent. 1 had to leave here in a hurry because their world is under attack, both on the surface as well as underground there, the Pleiadians. They're familiar, maybe some of you are familiar with that. Would some of you raise your hands who've heard of Billy Meyer and some of the, very good, about half the group. Well, Billy Meyer is one of these lucky people that they figured, well, he's kind of a simple type, we'll show him everything. Well, these are the benevolent aliens, and they've been here helping us. In fact, I have a picture, let me reach for it here. I have a picture of one of the aliens been working for the United States Pentagon for the last 58 years. His name is Valiant Thor. He's right here.
Now, I'm pausing the video now. I know who Valiant Thor is. I'm going to make a separate video on Valiant Thor. You can't see in this picture, but Valiant Thor was a human looking that was supposedly, I don't say they were originally from Venus, but they were on planet Venus. Now, what's interesting, you just heard him distinctly also mention little alien grays, which I talk about often, which are the Archons. The taller alien whites, the Zeta Reticulans, and the reptilians. He even mentioned them. And a benevolent race of extraterrestrials that had to flee the Earth. Valiant Thor, I know it's difficult to see in this picture, and the quality of this is not very good. Like I said, this was from, you might have seen the date on there, 1995 of all things, but I'll put the link in the description. I got another clip that I'm going to show, and then this one's a little shorter. This was from a video I previously made, and I spliced out 3 minutes of the, it's from the same 1995 lecture he gave. This one is on what the alien grays are actually here for, the alien gray, and adrenochrome. And he was talking about adrenochrome harvesting back in 1995 of all things, so it ain't some type of new concept. So make sure the volume's okay on this video, and let's take a listen to this one also. This is Kinninigan, and take care.
It's very scary indeed. I'll tell you what the alien agenda is. and it's going to sound very familiar. The alien agenda is the complete takeover of this planet, the killing off of 5, 6 to 7 eighths of the world's population by the year 2029. U.S. military has known about this for 45 years. They've told no one. As far as I know, I'm the only person standing before a crowd talking about the alien agenda, secretively. Okay. Back in 1954, I'll give you a quick overview. There was the created 1954 treaty where Eisenhower signed a pact with the known alien species of the time. There were 3 at the time. And said that we're going to deal in high technology, but you can take a few head of cattle and a few human beings and you can experiment on them. It's unthinkable. It's stuff straight out of the Nazi death camps, and I'm kidding you not, it's plain BS, and it's got to stop. Now, the created 1954 treaty would have been violated. After the great firefight, the alien-human war, I am the only living survivor talking about it worldwide at all. Only one. The other 2 are in nursing homes in Canada, and the Canadian government refuses to allow any U.S. people, including myself, to talk to them because they are afraid of kidnap. Probably the reason I got shot to pieces and 11 attempts on my life is I am a direct threat to the entire system. The New World Order, the alien agenda is one and the same. It's world takeover and the decimation of the population of this planet. Now, I'm going to tell you something a little bit different about the alien species. The bad news ones, there are 9 races of alien populations. To look at a human being as a bag of food. They're not cannibals. They don't eat the flesh and the bones and all that kind of stuff. They use the glandular secretions of animals and human beings as a mixture of the vitamins for their food. They get high off of our adrenal gland substances called adrenochrome. It's something like cocaine to them. Now, what can we do about it? Right now, if we do nothing, we can do nothing about it, and it will continue to go on. Basically, we'll be led in the dark, and you'll keep seeing more and more people disappear. Right now, there's 100,000 children totally unaccountable through FBI archives, cannot be traced anywhere. They haven't been murdered. Nobody's ever seen them. I think they're hauled underneath in some of these bases, and they are summarily done away with, and they are literally eaten. Now, that is a...
Okay. I noticed that too, right after my video. What they request after that? Graham Hancock. Oh, okay. I thought it was something else, American before. I thought it was Glenn Beck for a second. I was like, well, they do that with the algorithm on YouTube. I'll see like the strangest videos pop up after I play one of mine. It just shows you that they're trying to bury our videos. Especially when you got Phil Schneider talking about adrenochrome in 1995 and alien grays of all people harvesting it. A few other things that he mentioned in that thing, that base in Archuleta Mesa that he was talking about. Supposedly they were there for 400 to 500 years, although there is Native American legend of these entities that, and they were known about, that probably goes back further than that. And like I said, it was probably an ancient cave system, and when they started creating the military dumbs drilling out there, that's the story you heard from Phil Schneider. Sadly, the fate of Phil Schneider, in case you're not familiar, he was found suicided under strange conditions in his apartment. That was January 17th, 1996, and everyone knows he was murdered just because of the, and he showed you, yeah, he had some missing fingers on his hand from getting hit with that plasma weapon on there. It melted off his toenails and all that. And that was the infamous shootout in 1979. And it's been covered quite a lot. There's some pictures here. This is one of the underground drilling things that Schneider and his team were using to bore through. You see how that would make a circular tunnel into these caverns. I'll put all these links in the description. This is supposedly where the base is, but if you go out here, there's nothing to see, and it's on a Navajo Indian reservation, and it's completely underground, and any way to access the place is camouflage and all that. And like Schneider said, that when they were drilling, our own government didn't even warn them of the alien presence out there. They got into a firefight with them, in which 60 people died. And this is the newspaper article here. Now, what's interesting, I like finding these newspaper articles because it's always like mockery when they do this. It's like, well, we wouldn't have a newspaper article per se now, but we would definitely have a internet hit piece, and it's going on right now with the UFO phenomenon. They've been ramping it up in the mainstream media recently with UFO sightings all over the place. So it's part of the way they've been mocking it also. So this article was probably written around the time, I'm thinking around early 90s, mid 90s. Anyway, we're going to read this here. ETs living in New Mexico. Let me try to increase the picture size here if I can. Not likely, investigators say. What a way to start. Not likely. Oh, the investigators said not likely. By Kay Bird and Steve Terrell, the New Mexican staff. This past week, supermarket shoppers across the nation in Santa Fe have been confronted by a tabloid headline screaming, "A UFO base has been found in New Mexico." The headline summarizes the main story of September 20th issue of Weekly World News, a publication that shares facilities with the National Enquirer. The story gets to the point quickly. Diabolical invaders. The way I laugh because the way that these mainstream, the way they spin this, like it's some kind of joke. The diabolical invaders from another solar system have set up a secret underground base in the rugged mountains of northern New Mexico so they can Shanghai human guinea pigs for bizarre genetic experiments. And shockingly, the U.S. and a host of other nations are involved in a colossal cover-up of the horrifying story because they were hoodwinked. Hoodwinked is a Masonic term. Remember that. Whenever you see the words bamboozled, hoodwinked, hogwash, those are Masonic words. And notice how cheeky they're writing this article also, right? Because they were hoodwinked into okaying the loathsome test during a series of incredible face-to-face meetings with the extraterrestrial friends. The story goes on to say that the evil spacemen operate on or near an Apache Indian reservation near Dulce, New Mexico. Should a smart supermarket shopper waiting in the checkout line believe that? Reminds me, you ever see the movie Men in Black, the first one, when Tommy Lee Jones grabs the National Enquirer and tells Will Smith this is where the real stories are, and like it's like a cover, like Hillary Clinton's having an alien baby, and yeah, that was mocked in Men in Black of all things. No, said an investigator who was once paid by the state to investigate unidentified flying objects and cattle mutilations in northern New Mexico. I have some insight to the cattle mutilations. This is a theory. I don't know if I got this idea. It might have been from the X-Files show, the original 90s X-Files that I used to follow. But it was the fact that in these cattle mutilations out there, it was the thyroid gland that was being taken. And it could have been testing done by our own government to see what impact nuclear radiation was having on our cattle supply, our beef supply in the Southwest. Because they did all that nuclear testing. I was almost at the site at Area 51, Overlook Mountain, where you can see where they dropped like 100 atomic bombs and nuclear weapons. And that these covert testing of the cattle thyroids were to actually test the nuclear radiation in our food supply. But they're not going to tell us there is a nuclear radiation in our food supply from the testing of our nuclear weapons. Just like they're covering up the radiation from Fukushima, Japan, of all things. That's just one theory. What would aliens really be doing with cattle mutilations? It was probably blamed on aliens because it was a bizarre cover story, and it could have been our own government actually just testing the nuclear radiation of our own food supply. Interesting, huh? Dulce said that's top UFO expert who was quoted throughout the tabloid story. He said he was never interviewed by the tabloid and knows nothing of the Dulce space base, although he said such. It might be more of the article, but that's all we have on record here. The Dulce space base. I love how they mock this, right? Anyway, we do have another article pulled up here. And I got this one pulled up just to take a look at the pictures. We already heard the story from Phil Schneider. Like I said, I don't need to do a lot of reading on here from the website, which is why I did that. This picture here, I'm probably going to use these in the thumbnail pic too, so because these are pretty cool. These are supposedly leaked. Can I prove they're real? Can I prove they're not? No, I can't. But I find them interesting. This is supposedly one of the underground caverns here. This doesn't look like it was drilled by the the bore vehicle I showed you. This looks like an ancient cavernous system. This was probably part of the base that probably was made by the alien Greys itself, or maybe it was a natural cavern that they utilized. Pretty interesting. They call this a naturally formed hallway, section DL3D1. Wow. And we know that there are ancient cavernous systems, especially in Colorado with the mountainous region there. So that's one of them. Now this is a combination of pics here. Let me decrease this. Probably use these on the thumbnail too. This one down here at the corner, I know that's a fake. This one here is supposedly real, and this was supposedly, these were leaked from the base. It's an alien Grey communicating with one of our officers, and a UFO here. Are these authentic? I don't know, but they've been floating around for quite some time, including the time of the Phil Schneider story leaking. This looks pretty authentic for being an underground installation. I mean, you see the cave here. This would have been made by that bore thing that we've seen them. This right here. So this picture looks, yeah, pretty much fits the profile. Rounded out, smooth edges, and we see wiring and conduit all along the walls here. And this is supposedly an alien that was filmed inside of there. It looks like one of the aliens that Spielberg doxed right in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. These really like thin looking ones. Yeah, so we got one over here with a naval officer. This one has been photoshopped a lot. I've seen photoshops of this one over here where they take this officer out right here and replace it with Adolf Hitler, if you've ever seen that. But supposedly the alien Grey in that pic is supposed to be authentic. These are the little, this one here at the bottom, that's an obvious fake. This is another, trying to increase the size and scroll down the pics here. This is supposedly of a UFO inside of the base. There are massive amounts of you know, I know someone that actually can take me out UFO sighting out here. The same person that took me out to Area 51 and all throughout the Southwest, especially Dulce, is supposed to be a hot spot for UFOs at nighttime. And they come out of this base supposedly through camouflaged entrances that look like they're just part of the desert. They open up and UFOs come out and then fly back into the mountains. And this pic over here is supposedly another part of the inside base. So, how true is it? 1979. You know, this is when Schneider says that he got into this shootout with these alien Greys. And supposedly at the base now, let me see if there's some more pics. That was the interview we were just watching. Now, what makes this a really sad story to tell, there's also a few other videos here on the website if you want to watch them, is that, like I said, Schneider, after releasing this information, a year later, this, for example, this is in 1995 right here. I'll put this video in the description also. All the links will be in there. This is in 1995, and then the Phil Schneider story. He's found suicided in his apartment, January 17th, 1996. Now, this is someone who just went and in 1995 was going around doing the UFO circuit things, you know. I guess speaking in private functions in hotel rooms or whatever back then. So he was just starting to come out with this information, and then mysteriously winds up, quote unquote, suicided. And it only adds some validity to the story here. There's a few videos on this website too. E.T. Disclosure, the Phil Schneider Legacy, and Al Bielek talks about Phil Schneider. These were some of his, it looks like his original lecture. Well, just the channel that was hosting it here probably took it off YouTube. It happens. But I think it's easy to find his old lectures with a YouTube search. I'll put these two specific clips in the description. A lot of people have the most like infamous clips of the lecture. Like that's how I got the one on the adrenochrome and alien grays, and this one right here. It's been up on YouTube since 2007, has 3.3 million views. So there's been a great deal of interest in this, and this clip's been floating around for quite a few years. And of course, Dulce, New Mexico. It's in Rio Arriba. You know, it's Arriba. Isn't that what, that comes from Tom and Jerry. The mouse, Tom and Jerry, used to have a Mexican cousin, I think. And then he used to say, yeah, Arriba, Arriba. And I find that interesting. It's called Rio Arriba County. Because a lot of the old cartoons and a lot of those words that they use in there are magical words that are used in the occult. I gotta do that's another interesting video. Just oh well, I just recently did the one on the Betty Boop Freemason initiation, because a lot of these old cartoons that came out in the 30s and 40s, a lot of the old Looney Tunes were heavily geared towards Masons of all things, and there was a lot of occult symbolism in there. So yeah, it's in Arriba County, New Mexico, on a Navajo reservation. I am sure, without a doubt, that the local indigenous Native Americans probably have history. In fact, I was told a little bit about it by my tour guide when I went to Area 51. He's gave me some insight. They know about the underground installations. They know about the alien grays, the tall whites, the reptilians, Bigfoot, the giants. So it was no surprise, and that's why I think that this base here at Dulce could have possibly been housing these alien grays for the theorized 400 to 500 years. I think it's probably been a little longer than that, and they've been here for quite a while. Now, the ones that he was talking about that were benevolent, the ones that fled, Native American Indians around this area, the Hopi Indians, give legends of the ant people. I'm going to do a separate video on the ant people. Those extraterrestrials were said to be good and actually helped humans before fleeing to the underground. I wonder if that's the benevolent species he was talking about. I don't know. They're said to look like kind of praying mantis. If you've seen the movie Ender's Game, very good science fiction movie, that extraterrestrial at the end, that bug-looking one that looks like a praying mantis with the large big eyes, is exactly what the ant people are supposed to look like. And there's a lot of petroglyphs on all throughout the Southwest about these ant people and other species, and even the alien grays of all things. So with the mythology, with the story of Phil Schneider, and with the whole, you know, we got all kinds of legend about these underground installations, ancient ones, ancient tunnel systems, I would say, all throughout the Southwest. The account from Phil Schneider, and of course, let's not forget, oh, here's the pic here, the mockery in the mainstream news article, because, and you see how cheeky they wrote this, and you know, like, oh yeah, calling it the Dulce space base and using words like we were all hoodwinked. Hoodwink is a Masonic term. It's when they put the hood over you and put the noose around your neck. Yeah, it's part of their rituals that they do for initiation. Very telling. And sadly, Phil Schneider, greatest, in my opinion, probably one of the greatest whistleblowers of all time, because God bless me, he didn't live for too long after he started blowing the whistle. This event that happened to him happened in 1979. He goes in the public circuit 16 years later, is when I showed him speaking at that convention. January 17th, 1996, he's found suicided in his apartment under mysterious circumstances, and most people, we more or less know he was murdered. He was made to shut up. And if you heard him say in an interview, he was the last living person from that event that happened out there in 1979. The other one was up in Canada and wasn't coming in the public domain to talk about it, and he was the only one. So, it's going to be all for this video. Thanks for stopping by if you're in the chat. If anyone is able to help us out with donations, links are in the description, or if you want to join up and become a Patreon, I have Patreon only videos available to just my Patreons on there, and I do once a month I do lectures on there that I can't do on subjects on YouTube of all things. And of course we have Raging Reptilian Teespring merchandise available and cryptocurrency. Anyway, thanks for stopping by, guys. Any questions or comments, leave them below. And until we speak again, this is Kinninigan, and take care.